Okay, so I have raised Ororon. He is now level 80 out of 90. We have 3 characters coming up next update, so I don't think I'm going to be raising him up anymore. I can only get him to level 88 right now. I need resources for Pyro Archon, alright, guys? So, yeah, sorry about the lesser built Ororon. I wish I could get him to level 90, but right now I got to focus up, bro. So the main draw for Ororon is that fact that he's really good for Chasca, I would say. If you really look at it, you have the Bennett core there, and then let's go grab Ororon. So this team is actually pretty good for Chasca, and definitely a team that you can use whenever you're up against a cryo-immune enemy, right? Normally I'd be running Shinha, but as we know, Shinha, you know, if we're going up against a cryo-immune enemy, that can end up being very bad for us. So we're just gonna go ahead and have this team, right? We're going to be able to do some electro charge damage, right? It's not the end of the world. 17,000 on his burst. I've already seen it hit 30,000. I'm going to be honest. I've already seen his burst hit 30,000 on this chamber, which is pretty good for Ororon, right? And let's go ahead and see. Come on. He'll be dead, right? Yeah, he will. All right, cool. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to do this. We're going to pop an E-skill with Bennett, and one thing I will have to say is that Ororon is not as free on energy as I thought, all right? He is struggling a little bit. There you go, 30,000 on his burst, very good numbers there. I just got to say, like, it's good, right? It's very, very good to see those numbers there. And we're going to have that hit, and that didn't really work out. So sadly, we're going to see a little bit of a you know, a little bit of a, you know, lesser used one. All right, let's go ahead and do this. I feel like this is just going to be the fastest route to finishing this phase off. There you go. So we beat that within a minute. I mean, it's a workable team, right? And this is C0 Ororon. He gets a lot better with constellations, right? So that's one thing. My Ororon right now is C0, all right? So has room to improve beyond, you know, a character like Fischl, right? I mean, if we take Fischl into that chamber, I don't have my Fischl currently built, so I'm not going to try and put her on there. C6 Ororon does increase his damage quite a bit. It increases his energy recharge. It really does give him a lot of buffs. So right now, we can basically say, oh yeah, Ororon not that great because he's at C0 for 99% of people. But eventually, as time goes on, more and more people will start to get him more constellations, and more constellations means he's going to be even better. He already has impressive performance that already rivals Fischl, so I'm not even that concerned about what possibly he could end up having, right? And I want to showcase something, right? He can end up having some pretty bad energy issues. I don't care what you say. If you're a 60 cost burst and you have double Favonius plus double Electro while being an Electro character, you should not be having energy issues. I'm going to be honest. No energy issues be occurring here, but he actually does. Even at, you know, 106% energy recharge, you would think the dude would not have a big enough issue, right? But apparently he does. He does have a big enough issue with the way that Yelan and Fiorina are regenerating particles for him, right? So we're going to pop this E-skill there. We're going to do the Q. All right, I don't know what that hit for. I forgot I was using I forgot I was using Chloride, and I was expecting to be up in the air. You know, I was just, yeah, sure. All right, so we have this. All right, come on, we're going to go grab that. Fiorina, go ahead, grab your burst. Sure. All right, Yelan E-skill, Q-skill there. All right. Oh, I made a mistake. Okay, well, yeah, I accidentally switched into, you know, Chasca or Chloride when I wasn't supposed to. That do be a mistake. Okay, we will rectify said mistake. I mean, I don't think it's that big of a mistake. I mean, it's not like we lost like huge amounts of damage. I mean, Ororon, like I said, he can do some good damage, but right now I wouldn't say he's doing amazing, right? There you go, 18,000 there. So without the, you know, Fiorina or the Bennett buffs mainly, yeah, Bennett is really what buffs him. I mean, Chloride is doing 13,000, which is about what she does on a regular, you know, like Dendro team, right? She's doing 13,000. She's gonna do a load of this. I mean, we're basically done, ready. Let's go ahead and just pop this. Yeah. Oh, yep. Okay, we were very close. I mean, we cleared that in a minute and 15 for an electro charge version of Chloride's team. I'll take that, bro. I'll take that for it being electro charge. Like, electro charge generally not considered a good element to, you know, use. Now, this is where I stop seeing like a huge amount of improvements into where Ororon is like gonna be applicable, right? I just don't really see other teams that he's usable on, because I've tried Nevi and it's just hyper carry Nevi is too strong. I mean, I can show you guys, it is like, I'm man of my word, he is too strong. It's just genuinely like, he is an option for Nevi, don't get me wrong, but he's not an option that I would be very confident in, right? When you have Clorinde right there, you know, and also you have Zhongli right there, and we'll get into, you know, I'm assuming we'll be able to very well see that Nevi gets staggered without a C1 here. Like, let's be real here. He's getting staggered all the day. All right, so let's go ahead. Let's do this E skill, and then we'll pop the Q. And one thing about Ororon, he just got staggered there. All right, we're getting to completely staggered. Great. All right, 40,000 damage from Nevi. I mean, that's not bad, right? This is not bad. This is Nevi damage, sure. But as of, you know, a character, okay, well, we are running out of buffs. All right, apparently. We took too long on that. And this guy is really, yeah, man. The staggering is just, this guy, I don't know what it is about this team specifically makes this guy stagger me so much. But yeah, and we could definitely clear this faster. I mean, if I add my shielding in, guys, I'm going to be honest. You guys aren't seeing this kind of clear time. Like, you're seeing like 30-second clear time. I'm going to be honest. Like, this is a very low clear time for Nevi on this chamber. I'm going to, like, when I add my Clorinde, she cooks, right? But that's C2R1 Clorinde, right? There's a reason why it cooks that hard. But still, same would go for just regular Clorinde, because regular Clorinde takes Nevi's damage, I believe, to 80k. You can go fact check me. I have a video where I use C0 Clorinde with my Nevi. It's just, that's what she does. So overall, Ororon's an option, especially if you have C1 Nevi, but I don't think that is an option that I would overall like to use. I mean, we can even go ahead and we can choose. And one thing to say about Ororon is that he's giving the elemental damage bonus, right? So let's go ahead and look at Ororon. A lot of people, I feel like, do not understand how good it is, the fact that he has access to this set, and how good it is that he's just going to be basically buffing Electro and Hydro the entire time you have him on field. If he's in your team, your Hydro and Electro damage bonus should be getting buffed, because you're not going to be using him without Electro Charge, really. You can try using him without Electro Charge, but there's no real reason. I guess this would work for getting Dendro damage bonus, so maybe he would be good for like Alhaitham or something. I don't know. This would actually work with Dendro damage bonus, I'm realizing. I feel like a lot of people were really like thinking that Clorinde being on this set would really hurt her, but actually it doesn't. It really, what really I think is going to happen is that you're going to be running two characters on this set. Clorinde is going to buff your, you know, elemental damage, right? And you're going to have another character who can also buff with this set, doing other reactions, right? And that way you can get a trifecta of 40% damage bonus for all three elements you're on the team, right? And I think that is generally what Clorinde is going to end up being. I feel like this set is just so good that running two of them isn't even going to be a DPS loss or anything. I genuinely believe, especially for a character like Chasca. I mean, Ororon's getting, you know, 2 out of 3. What if we got 3 out of 3 and we had Pyro Archon on that set, right? We can have Cinder City on Pyro Archon with, like, putting her here, which would buff Pyro damage bonus and whatever element she reacts with. And then Ororon would be able to also run the Elemental and would buff, you know, Electro damage bonus. And it would give Chasca all of the damage bonuses, which is really good. So getting all the damage bonuses just for the characters in general would really help out. I think the only time you're going to run into an issue where Cinder City is like a bad set to run on Clorinde, or, you know, not even a part of Clorinde's kit, because a lot of people try to use this as a negative. Like, a lot of people tried to use this set being her buffing mechanic as a negative towards her, because they thought, oh, she's not going to be good. But don't forget, Clorinde's also going to be decreasing the res of everyone. So you're going to get the 3-element damage bonus along with the 3-element res shred. And that's something that Kazuha can't do, right? Kazuha can't, you know, equip, you know, this set and have the res shred, also for less time, by the way. But the res shred wouldn't work with all 3 elements, but whereas Clorinde, she's going to work with all 3 elements, right? Obviously, Chasca, you know, if you think I'm talking about Chasca specifically, I'm not, but Chasca would not even really benefit from, you know, having Clorinde or Kazuha in the team, because she's not that kind of character. She doesn't want Animo or Geo or Dendro in her teams, right? It really does suck, because Clorinde would be great for Chasca, but sadly, I don't know. They just didn't want her to work with Chasca. Very annoying. So yeah, basically to say, I don't even think Cinder City is going to hold back Clorinde at all, and I don't think it's going to hold back Ororon at all, because I think when you're running a Hydro character and you run Ororon, who's doing very good off-field damage, those two as a core for a team actually works really well now. Not necessarily because of Electro Charge, But because Ororon's doing really good damage, and let's just say you have Fiorino on the team doing her Hydra damage, that's also really good damage. And if you're able to buff those two elements, that's pretty cool. And don't forget that Ororon, beyond just his elemental damage buffing, beyond just his, extra damage all field, you also have 30% attack buff on just this. This is 30% attack buff. It's simple as that. 30% attack buff. There you go, guys. For active character, 30% attack buff. I mean, depending on the character, that could be pretty massive, right? Chasca has 889 base attack, so that's not huge, but let's go ahead and, count that. That's an extra 266 attack. That is an extra 10% attack, basically. A little bit over 10% attack for Chasca. Like, raw, like, if you really look at it, 10% attack. I want to say that it would technically be like a 10% damage boost overall. I want to say that, but I don't know if that's true. But if I'm looking at the base stat, and you have the base stat, right? Well, I guess no, because attack scaling is different. It depends on what kind of hit you're doing, because what this is, the attack percent is not necessarily correct always, right? So you have 83% here. So technically, it could be a little less than 10%, but on these, it would be like 20%. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. I don't know. I'm not like, I'm just doing this off the fly, off my head, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. Don't forget that Chasca's running a low base attack weapon here. Let's go ahead and look at Ito. No, let's not look at Ito, actually. I don't think that's a good idea. Let's look at Sinew. Sure. I don't know. What do you guys want me to do? All right, 741. Now, obviously, her attack is a lot stronger, but let's look at the attack. That is a lot of attack. 1075? Sure, let's do that. 1075 times 0.3 is 322 attack, which would nearly be an extra 10% attack overall, right? And that, once again, we can go against what damage would be. But obviously, Sinew is not a character who's taking effect. But, like, there are characters who are like that, right? We can go ahead and... Where's my Arlecchino? We can go ahead and we can look. My Arlecchino here has 1,000 attack, right? So 30% attack to her is 300 extra attack. You want to know how much attack she has? That can work for her. That can work for her, right? An extra 300 attack? You have Bennett generally. Let me do an overload with Arlecchino. I want to see how that works, because I have not tested out overload with Arlecchino. Let me just do this, I think. I think this will be fun. All right, and let's go. So I'm not really sure on what this is going to end up looking like, but I mean, as you can see, Circle Impact, which, once again, another benefit sort of to that 30% attack there is that it's not Circle Impact, right? It is just purely impact. That's the kind of damage bonus we're seeing. And yeah, once again, Circle Impact, Bennett strikes again. Great. All right, buddy. Come on. Now, he's not obviously great for overload. I mean, he's not even going to get a lot of his off-field damage. Like, this is really, yeah, this is why you run him with the actual things. All right, guys, like, I'm going to be real. That is not good. This is just not, yeah. Like, Fischl's okay for this, right? We're able to do some decent damage. I mean, this is generally just Arlecchino's damage. Not impressive, I'm going to be honest. Obviously, for obvious reasons, he's not impressive here. Now, that's speaking to where, should we get an Electro, or should we get an Overload, like, Electro character? Maybe. But for obvious reasons, that wasn't really crazy. Because, I mean, this passive talent does... This passive talent does a lot for him, and it's always with Electro Charge reactions. So you really do want, like, at least one Hydro on the team for Ororon to seriously be cooking, right? Because this does not really do much damage, I'm going to be honest. You do the 279 immediately, but then it's only 53. This is really for Electro application, is what this is for, right? This is not for damage. This is for Electro application, which is something that, now his passive talent here, this is for damage. And that's what his Constellations buff, right? So this is what his, Constellations buff, right? This is why, his Constellation here, really strong, or this passive talent. It's sort of a, like, different version of Fischl. I'm assuming this has ICD. I gotta assume, otherwise he's actually pretty good for Dendro teams that use Hydro, right? Because all you would do was trigger an Electro Charge reaction, and that's not that hard to do as long as you have one single Hydro on the team, like Fiorina. And then you have Dendro, which then he's actually pretty good, assuming it has ICD. But let's go over to Fischl, and she basically has that sort of same talent here. And you can see right here. Nope, you can see. So you can see right here when the current, Electro-related reaction, 80% of Fischl's attack, it strikes down. There is no cooldown to this, so I'm assuming it's whatever your ICD is. And this thing, the reason why this is so good is because it has 0 ICD. So when you're on a Dendro team, you are constantly proccing Aggravate with this, doing a lot of damage. So, you know, you have this guy doing a lot of damage, and then you got, you know, just the regular passive talent here doing a lot of damage for official on, you know, Dendro teams, right? And Ororon basically has a Electro Charge version of that, from what I can tell. I don't think that this is a 0 ICD. Like I said, would be pretty good if it is, because it's basically just a kind of weirdly different version. I don't know how often Fischl's also hits. I don't really look at Fischl's damage. I just sort of put her on the team, and then she does her thing. But 1.8 seconds, they obviously know that they have to give this thing a cooldown, because it is going to be a very strong, you know, electric, like, this is a very strong ability to have. And there's a reason why they decide, oh yeah, this is how we're going to build Ororon. He's a really good character. I don't think this guy saved Electro Charge. I think what he saved was a pairing of Hydro and Electro. I don't think that that necessarily means that Electro Charge is like a good team. You'd rather have actual like Dendro and other things a lot of the times. It's just that since Ororon is so good and you using him in an Electro Charge team, he definitely helps out. I just don't think that, you know, oh wow, it's crazy Electro Charge. We would need a proper DPS that wants to constantly be used in Electro Charge for Electro Charge to be truly saved, right? So I think Electro Charge, it's all right. I think, you know, Ororon plus a Hydro is really strong combo, you know, like Chasca once. But this is, I wouldn't say that it's a fun, like, I wouldn't give any credit to Electro Charge being the reaction that does it. It's like, it's just Hydro and Electro really doing a lot of damage, since Ororon is giving the buffs and then also doing a lot of off-field damage and then giving the active character, you know, 30% attack. It is really good. So yeah, I mean, that's all I have to really talk about. I think this was, I think Ororon, he's great. I do think that he's great. I think he's basically, you know, on the level of official, at least, I would say. I do think that this character, really, really strong. Really, really hope to get more cons of him when, you know, he comes back on a banner or something. Hopefully I will. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.